Hi Kebo, welcome to this video. We are going to be talking about Canva and how to create marketing content within Canva. So in this video, we're going to start by looking at the layout of Canva and the different features and functions that Canva provides. Then we're going to look at background, how to create a background, what a good background is, and what are some good templates to use. And we're going to be really focusing on what the goal of our marketing content is. And we are going to look at elements, what kind of elements we should use, and the text or font, styles, sizes, and colors. And we are also going to finally look at resizing images to fit different layouts for different social media platforms. For example, we have LinkedIn, which is at 1200 pixels, and then we have Instagram, which is at 1080 pixels, and so that's 1200 by 1080. So we're gonna dive in here to Canva, and I've already logged in, but this is what you'll kind of see as your homepage. To touch on a few things before we actually get into creating our design and going through some samples. We have access to Canva Pro. I have an account, and we can also add team members, which I've done so. The kbadepal@gmail.com email will allow you to access Canva as part of my team, and you'll get access to all the pro features, which I think is really great and definitely super useful beyond just the basic functionality. Some of the things we are going to cover in this tutorial will include features and functions from the pro version of Canva. So if you don't have that and you want to use it, I would say speak to someone from KBAO who has access to the KBAO Gmail, kbadepal@gmail.com email. So the email will be in Teams as usual. You'll find it in meeting notes under usernames and passwords. And we will kind of jump into it right now. So the first thing I kind of want to touch on is the layout. So we'll cover the layout of the home screen in Canva, and then we will move on to the layout within your design pane or your designing panel. So in the home screen, we see there is like a number of options. We have home templates. There's a bunch of different templates that you can use. For social media, we have specific templates, and this is great because we can automatically get the exact size that we need for each platform. We also have things like personal, which has like invitations, cards, resumes, stuff like that. Business, so presentations, websites, logos, business cards, etc. And so personally, I've used most of the social media ones. I've also used some of the personal ones, business, and then some of the marketing ones. I haven't used any of the other ones like education or trending, but for marketing, infographics, flyers, and brochures seem to be the most easy or most useful layouts to use, especially considering some of the use cases we have, such as when we go to promote KBAO as an organization. We create flyers, and in those flyers we have things like QR codes, so people at the events that we're promoting can easily access our D-Hub page or any of our socials, as well as including some kind of event list for our upcoming events. And so that's the template section. We also have features, which is photos. So ton of free assets within Canva. If you don't know what an asset is, usually in the design space, when we refer to assets, we're talking about images, objects, design elements, icons, whatever that is. And so we have a ton of free assets within Canva that we can use, especially with the pro version. There you get access to a whole score of different icons and photos and elements that you can use, and we'll go over that a little bit later. And then finally, learn. So Canva has some great tools to kind of pick up all the skills you really need. So if there's any doubt and you can't find or can't do something that you like are trying to do within Canva, really just check out the learning section of Canva, and there's some great tutorials and guides that are available as part of the pro license. And if you still can't find what you're looking for, I would say just Google it. Largely, most of the answers you find are in Google. And so then we get down to the home dashboard, and then our navigation tab on the left. And so we have on the left, we have the name of the team, we have the number of people in the team, the type of license. Then we have home, your projects, templates, shared with you, trash, and then your team, and then your tools. So we this is relatively self-explanatory. Projects, we're just gonna hop over to the project screen, but before that you see the templates that you might want to use are easily accessible here, and these are just recommendations, and you can obviously go by category or search some templates. And then we have all our designs, recent designs down here. We are going to hop into projects, and within projects I've sort of organized our different events into folders. So for example, art of storytelling, which is our data visualization competition, will be here. We have Credera, which is one of our past events, and we also have general for many other things. Now, some of the assets we have headshots of people we've used headshots of in our marketing material previously. We have icons, which are social media icons or just any other icons that might be relevant, like a click here icon or like a join now icon. We also have logos down here in this folder, and logos are some of the partner organization logos that we work with and we have used previously in our marketing material. So Impact Consulting, this for Social Good, DePaul Consulting Club, so on and so forth. So we have all the logos here as well. Obviously you don't want to use any of those logos without consent from any of the org leaders, but just know that you have that tool available if you do need to quickly access someone's logos if we're collaborating with a different org. Now we're gonna hop into the templates section. This is the same as what you've seen earlier, just with more granularity. So you can browse by subject, you can browse by classroom decor, inspired by your last design, so they'll recommend you based on the theme of the template you've chosen. Instagram posts, so some great templates, and a lot of times these templates are more than enough to get you off the ground and to have a pretty good marketing content design piece for whatever you're trying to achieve. Most of the time you actually don't need to go beyond these templates, and you just need to replace the text and maybe some of the elements within the page. But largely what we do, we have a somewhat specific design language that we use at KBAU, and we've been doing this for the past year. And we've tried to keep it consistent, save specific events. So we'll just jump into the presentation templates. These are, if you weren't already aware, you can actually make presentations within Canva, and they are somewhat like PowerPoints, but in a sense they're actually much more I would say design focused presentations, and they make for really visually appealing graphics and really help you tell a story with them. And I really like the presentations here. I've used them for multiple different purposes before, and the great thing about them is you can embed them in a website really easily and get them to autoplay, which I think is really a useful feature and function of these. So just a quick kind of detour but we're gonna head back home and we're gonna go to shared with you. And so shared with you, if you are accessing this through the kbaodepal@gmail.com email, then what you will see here is you will see all the folders. You will see all of these your project folders that we see out here. You will see all of those in the shared with you tab. And shared with you is essentially when a team member or someone using Canva as well shares an image or shares a design with you. And so you can access all of your content there. Trash is obviously trash, and then we have a teams pane, which is basically the same as your projects, but it just is broken down by team members, and you can invite team members. We also have a brand kit, which includes our two different logo styles, our brand colors, and the default brand fonts that we use. Now, this is editable. This is changeable. I don't think we would require anyone to follow this like font style outline, but it's just a good default that I think we can use for the time being. So that's pretty much it for the homepage. We do have a content planner where you can schedule posts. I haven't connected Canva to any of our social platforms, but if we did, you could share them directly from Canva. So you could say, hey, I wanna share this, and then I would select my channel over here, Instagram, Facebook. So we don't actually use this because you can't post to Instagram if you're not an Instagram business. And we do have a LinkedIn page we can post on our LinkedIn profile, which is also somewhat useful in a sense. So that's a big part of it. Of why we don't do that. But if you wish to explore this, you're definitely feel free to try that. So we're just gonna head back to home, and that's about it for the layout in the home dashboard. We're gonna head to create a design, and for all intents and purposes, we're gonna start with a Instagram post, and we'll get to other formats later. But for the purpose of going through all the different features and functions within Canva, we can start with, so we have our templates here at the top. The next section would be our elements, and elements are essentially things you can use to add some spice to design, to create some kind of visual element within your design. And so an example would be if we are trying to create a flyer for a networking event. We could type in networking here, and we get a bunch of different graphic images related to networking. And some of these are like a video or an animation. Some of these are just like classic photos. Some of these are like vector graphics. So what we want to do is we have this selection panel at the top where we can distinguish between photos, graphics, videos, and even audio, which is really interesting. Now, our design language normally uses graphics, but you could also use photos. And a great way to do this is, for example, if we use this photo as our background, we could use this as a background, but maybe you're thinking, hey, that's like too much. It's too in your face. The text won't be visible because of all the different color hues. So a neat trick that we can do here is we can go to this top right little checkered box, and when you hover over it, it shows you what it is. It's transparency. You can click on transparency, and we can adjust that slider to however much we want it. say we wanted this to just be someone in the background, business, networking, cool. And then we could kind of begin to visualize how we're gonna kind of plan our design. And typically, real designers will probably do this step before they even begin, which is like planning by considering their goal first and then going from there. But we're just gonna do it this way. I'm not a designer by any means. This is the way I know how to do it. But and I don't expect any of you guys to be designers either. So that's pretty much part of our networking. If you didn't want to, part of our template building or background building, if you didn't want to already use like a pre-built background. But if you did, in case you did, uh, say say we're putting out marketing content for a holiday, right? We want to do some interactive content with our community for a holiday, so we could have this as our like homepage, and we don't even need to edit this. We could just replace whichever holiday it is with, say, the next major holiday that I know is coming up is 4th. Now this isn't completely legible, so maybe we wanna, we wanna change the font of that, or maybe we don't. Maybe we wanna like make it a different color. I don't think in this situation color is going to help anything. The font just generally isn't too legible. So maybe if we were doing something for the 4th, we probably wouldn't. And then we, we kind of like see the whole background and what the background's telling us. And in this background, you see a lot of greenery, a lot of flowers and stuff. That doesn't really jive with 4th of July, right? Because 4th of July, there's fireworks, there's other sort of iconic occurrences or events that happen in the span of that one day. And so you would typically see a design like this may be used for like Easter or spring or some sort of festival that's more, or holiday that's more spring or fall related, perhaps. Now, let's say, okay, this is our, home thing, and we say Happy Easter, right? And, we have whatever our title is, and then we want to have like a multi-page story or multi-page post on Instagram that gives us some kind of interaction, right? Gives our audience some kind of interaction. A lot of the questionnaires and the surveys and the quizzes that we can do on Instagram, we can do on Instagram. We don't have to do them here, but we can design a page that acts as the backdrop for something like that, right? And part of that would be we could go into elements, and within elements we could search something like, if you want to do, we can also do this actually, chart. We can add a chart. We can add a chart to Canva, which is cool. And we can kind of customize the chart to show grid lines, to show, maybe don't show labels. You might want to add your own custom labels, but the idea is we have a chart that we can kind of customize with colors. We can increase the spacing, so we can say, hey, we want like really big spacing, or we want zero spacing, right? And so a good in between is always preferred. We can also make it round, which I think is really neat as well. Maybe we do want to show, or maybe we want to show a legend. We can do that as well. So very nice, very And so in this, we just fill out our data in the data tab, and that kind of reflects. There's a limit, obviously, to how much you can do on this, but you can import Google Sheets, which is super cool. I'm not going to do that right now for the sake of time, but you could definitely do that. It's a good option. But say you wanted to present some information about the holiday, right? And so we can go and find like Easter Easter holiday data. And yeah, so we see you know, average expected spend for Easter, right? And so maybe we don't want to do maybe we want to avoid this type of chart. Maybe instead of this type of chart, we want to do something like a time series, right? And so we can go ahead and drop this and get this time series on here. And then we can just take our data points, you know, and we can create that. So let's, I won't get into showing any of this right now, but the idea is just keep in mind that you can do a lot with this. And when we're doing sort of interactive, you know, pieces, combining Canva elements and then combining Instagram becomes super important, because when we post to Instagram, we want white space, or we want empty space that we can use to essentially put whatever Instagram inserts we want to do. For example, a quiz. If we want to have a quiz, we would have some empty space for that. We would design for that with that in mind already. And we would also use, like when we have events, we would have space for links. That's one pretty important thing. We have a small little space, and normally what happens is when you're designing, we resize, and we'll get to resizing later. We resize content for both our post and our story, and we change the layout for each of them to accommodate for whatever other details and other elements we're gonna be adding afterwards in Instagram. And so that's pretty much how to kind of like design from like a template. If we head back, maybe we're doing like a networking event, right? We want to go to photos. We'll start from the same, and let's just go ahead and delete this page, and then we'll just leave this here. We're not gonna like bother too much with it, but we're gonna just take this and make this our background. Or probably not a great idea. We should probably just get rid of it, all the elements. And let me actually add this first. Yeah, so templates often come with elements, and it's not super conducive to starting over, because you'd have to get rid of all the elements. But same thing we did last time, we're just gonna take this and like we're gonna drag the transparency down, and so we still have a background, which is why it's showing. We can actually change the background color. Right, if we wanted like a darker vibe for this, we could change the background color, and we can go in and we can actually play with the background color a little bit, right, and get like a nice effect where like whatever we're seeing, it's like still kind of visible, but it's not really super, and so we can put like a tint essentially on whatever we're kind of working on. So say this is our yeah, and so we're just gonna go for a little lighter one. There we go. And so say this is the base of what we're designing, right? We wanna kind of go in and understand maybe now one of the first things we would do is we would go to logos and we would pop our logo here, right? Make sure there's no significant color clashing. There is a little bit with these colors at the background, but largely we're fine. And so one of the tools that we actually use, so we can go here and copy the hex code. And when we copy the hex code, we're gonna go into, I've actually pulled it up here, but for the sake of this, let's open out a new video and type in Adobe Color Contrast Analyzer. And we get, this is a great free tool to kind of explore. So if we want to compare, say, our background color, right? And then we want to go in and maybe we open a new tab in Canva to understand what our brand kit colors are like. This is a fairly close color, so we're gonna go ahead and put that here. And there we go. It fails all the different tests, which means it's not a good color to use. And I think this becomes a consideration in how we, you know, what kind of background color we choose. So maybe we wanna, and so we have a lot of different colors that all kind of clash with our brand logo, right? In this situation, probably the best color is something that doesn't clash with any of our colors, which would be something like this, just like a very neutral, you know, probably not that. Yeah, this would probably be a good one. So we've got like, now we know, okay, like this color isn't clashing. We normally align our logo with the top left, and then we'll have any additional text in the middle. And maybe this is the part where for a image like this, normally, or a background image like this, normally we don't use too many elements, and we try to line up the design language with the elements that we use. And I can give you an example. If we wanted to go ahead and use, for example, element like this, great element, just not very in line with what we're designing for. So we're gonna delete that out. Typically, these kinds of backgrounds, or these kind of like, if we're doing a networking event, would benefit much more from, you know, something like maybe this, or maybe a little more formal. Maybe you want to go a little more formal, right? Minimize the color, maybe have some like a black and white. And so we go with something like this. And just line that up. And then we could look at some other, largely we want to keep this simple. Another great tool, so if we're in elements, what we want to do is we want to search frames. And there will be this little pane called frames that you can use. So say we wanted, you know, to display some panel speakers in a networking event, right? Or here we could just take that, copy, and paste. Say we had 4 panel speakers. And another neat feature of Canva is if you shift click each of these, what you can do is you can click position up here on the top, and you can hit tidy up, right? And so you can, oops, my bad. So we're gonna hit Control Z here actually. The idea here is before you hit tidy up, what you want to do is you want to go and you want to hit group. Once you group these, then you hit position, or maybe nope. Okay, let's try that again. Let's see, one more probably. Okay, so you can also just manually align things by looking at the lines that you're seeing, and there we go, that's aligned. And that's also aligned. So we've got like a nice line here. I just shift and we just maybe have this centered. Maybe we want a little bit more spacing, so we just pull this up a little bit. And maybe we want this to be a little less intrusive. Or maybe we don't want this at all. Maybe we want space for our text. And so in this situation, what we're gonna do is we're gonna go and maybe look for, let's go to some uploads. No uploads, that's all right. We're gonna go look at folders, and within folders, we're gonna go do headshots. And some of our past speakers, we have headshots for them already, so we can head there and create some nice frames. And maybe we want this to be bigger and more in line with yeah. And so this is somewhat what it would look like. Obviously I would recommend, if you're actually doing this, to remove and make sure like the backgrounds are all great. Now how to make cutouts of like circular cutouts if you have a square image. Normally Canva does this for you for the most part. You don't have to think too much about it. But if you really wanted to do it, you could go into Photoshop and you could use the circle tool or the shape tool to like highlight or to create like a circle, and hold shift while you're doing it, so your diameter is the same across the circle and it doesn't become a ellipse. And you would essentially get a perfect circle that you could then reposition and then do a Control X to cut the image, or select it and then delete everything outside of it if you wanted to. So pretty simple. But we're going to go back to elements, and maybe we're done with the frames, right? Maybe we don't want to do the frames. Some cool frames just to point out: we have a Mac here, an iMac, and we have an iPhone too, which is cool. But some cool frames to point out. Now we're gonna move on to text. Canva has some great default text. Maybe we wanna, create some. So we'll start off with this. All right, and so if you just take any text from here out of the box, like for example this one. I'm not going to use this right now, I'm just going to delete that. But the elements could definitely be used, and so what we're going to do is we're just going to move that over here. We're going to go ahead and ungroup these because these normally come grouped. And then we're going to go ahead and delete all the ones that we don't want. Maybe we want this time one, maybe the time is important. And we can think about maybe doing something a little more with that later. But maybe time is important to us. Now, we want this, and we can adjust the font size to maybe like 70, and we're just gonna resize this entire bar and put it up here. There we go. So now we've got a basic outline. Maybe we wanna get rid of this. And maybe we wanna add this. So maybe we don't want this online piece. Maybe we just want the design outside of it. So we're gonna go delete this, we're gonna go delete this, and we're gonna go just use this. Maybe we wanna do something like that. Which I wouldn't recommend, actually. It looks kind of funny now that I think about it. But it's all about testing, trying, and kind of looking at what works and what doesn't. This does not work. It looks like a bacteria or something, which I would recommend against. Okay. But now that we have our kind of title text, we're going to just like say something like, give the event a good name. Hopefully whoever's in charge of naming the events has already given it a good name. But maybe this networking event is, and we do a panel every year, which some of these speakers who you're seeing here are actually from, but Ignite, we do a panel called Ignite Analytics. Now our typical design language for this tends to be a little different from what we're doing, and in fact lines up a lot closer to this. But say we've got Ignite Analytics, you know, and then we're like, Ignite, what is that? That's fire. So maybe we can go head to elements and say fire. Alright, run fire. And maybe maybe we want something like this. Right? Maybe this is something that's like attractive to us. And maybe we just blur it out somewhat, and then we can crop it. So maybe we don't really care about the bottom part of this, and we just want the kind of embers blinking out. So okay, and then we just move that downward. And we get that together, make sure it's centered, and then what we're going to do is we're going to look at that and send back. Maybe we want that. So there we go. Ignite Analytics. Probably not a good choice in this design element, so we're probably going to get rid of it. But the idea is that's just how the kind of process works, right? And that's pretty much it for this part. You could also look at styles, which are, you know, you can automatically change everything with different styles and go from there once you've got your base down, which is a good, easy way to kind of like get a check on, you know, different kinds of templates that you can use. So maybe some good ideas here, and we're seeing the background change as well, which is great. So yeah, that's the basic part of kind of designing a event flyer in Canva. And so what we're gonna do now is we're gonna look at the final step, which is resizing all of this. So we're going to say we have our event details down here. I'm not gonna add all the individual nitty-gritty details about like speaker names and stuff like that. Surely, if you're designing an event flyer, you'll include speaker names. But what we started off our design with is a Instagram post, and now we will be resizing to other formats. So we have copy and resize down here, and we have just resize. You want to use copy and resize because you don't want to lose the original. So what you're gonna do is maybe you want create an Instagram story, right? And we can resize all of this at the same time. We can do a copy and resize for all of it. Uh, when you use multiple resizes many times, you often get a suggestion on what to do. So Instagram post, Instagram story, and banner. That is, we'll go with that. Uh, and we'll copy and hit resize. So all my LinkedIn posts are 1200 by 1200. Instagram posts are 1080 by 1080. Instagram stories are 1080 by 1920. And banners we normally do 76 by 32, just to get that width out there. And so we're gonna go ahead and copy and resize, and we'll see a number of uh, panels pop up. And so if you look at this and then we go ahead and look at this panel, we see that, yeah, the layout is nowhere near as clean, and the spacing is kind of weird. So we're gonna do something like making this a little bigger for visibility. This is a banner, so our logo tends to be much more important here. And we would do something like maybe a half, 50%. And then we would have our panelists somewhat evenly spread out. So we'd have them, in a form like this. And then we would maybe go to elements, and we'd say like a text box or something like that. And maybe we want to include some kind of like information about the event, right? We could always go here, and we could always put this here, put some extra comments in that text box, and maybe you want to move these somewhere here. So the idea is we alter our design for each different resize. So this is for the banner, so we consider our goal within the banner and where it's going to be used. We use our banner on Eventbrite, we use our banner for new email and newsletters. And so that tends to be the primary kind of area of use. And so when we think about that, maybe it doesn't need too much information, right? And the information that it has, maybe it needs to be big. Maybe it needs to be something that excites people. So that's how we kind of like think about this stuff. Here we have the Instagram story, and this, similar to the banner, we're just gonna go and we're just gonna resize this. Just copy all of the stuff and just resize it. Important thing to note about an Instagram story is you have the top maybe 20 to 30 pixels, or actually probably more than that, 50 pixels, blocked by the story time and the profile of the person. And you have the bottom also somewhat blocked. So we keep those all free. And so what we would do is, in this situation, something like this. Maybe we want that a little smaller because it doesn't fit in with everything. But yeah, we get this somewhat centered. Then we have some maybe info here that we can also center. And then we'll leave this entire space down here blank, and that'll be for a link and a join link, which we will, put like a button down here for it. So when people see our story, they can just click on this link over here and be like, hey, I want to register for that event. You're gonna hit join here. And that's pretty much how we do it. So that's the Instagram story, and then the LinkedIn post or the Instagram post, they're exactly the same. It's just the same aspect ratio, so none of the layouts actually change. But that was it for this video. Feel free to watch any of the other videos that you feel applies to your role at KBAO, and have a great rest of your day.